What's good, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're listening to this, whatever time of the day it is time for the Snug Wrestling Podcast, the NXT review with me, myself. I am Edgar, I'm the host, and our NXT expert, Tommy. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, the day after NXT, which was Booker T Appreciation Night. They were over in Houston, Texas, I believe, right? The 713 Music Hall, which usually they are in the WWE Performance Center. But tonight, they had a little bit bigger crowd than usual. This music hall that they were at was a little bit bigger than the usual crowd at the Performance Center, so that was nice. And I think that added a lot more to this episode of NXT because I really enjoyed NXT this week. Tommy, how you doing, bro? How did you feel about NXT this week?
Feeling good, feeling good. Overall, this episode of NXT, I really loved it. Again, just like with Monday, unfortunately, my throat is deciding to be a bitch to me thanks to Illinois weather. So my voice is not under the best circumstances, but that's something I'm dealing with. I'll get over that eventually. But still, this episode of NXT, I actually really loved it. There are parts of it where I'm like, okay, yeah, I called this. And then there are others where I'm like, okay, let's go through it.
Tommy, you sound as lovely as ever. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm glad you're
If
still here
only
with
you
us.
could hear me in person. I'm fucking nasally as all hell right now.
Okay, well, I'm glad I don't have to hear that, but yeah, at least you're here with us still. You know, weather's stopping you from going over NXT, so that's good. But yeah, we had a lot to look forward to on this episode of NXT. We had a couple title matches. We had some a tag team tournament kicking off. You know, the way that things ended with Ricky Saints and Ethan Page last week in the main event. Overall, man, there was a lot of good stuff. Oh, a big steel cage match too for the main event for the Women's North American Championship. So I gotta say, man, NXT was pretty stacked this week. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, the Booker T Appreciation Night, which I really enjoyed that part too, because there was an angle that they ended up working in there during this big Booker T moment. But I think we're ready to get into it. Tommy, are you?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So we kick things off with the Women's NXT Championship for a triple threat match. Jacy Jayne, the current champion, versus former best friends Sol, Ruca, and Zaria. Now, Tommy, I know you're a big fan of Sol Ruca, so before I say anything, I want to hear your unfiltered thoughts about this triple threat match before I say what I think about this, because Jacy Jayne ended up retaining in this opening triple threat match. But what were your feelings after this whole thing, Tommy?
I feel like I called it. I really did. I said last week when we were doing predictions for this exact match that Jacy Jayne was going to retain because Zaria and Sol Ruca would be so focused on each other, Jacy Jayne wouldn't really need to do anything. And that's exactly what happened. Those two went at it, and Jacy Jayne basically just stood back and let it happen most of this match. So there's that. And Zaria got super, super close to bringing that final pin. But Jacy Jayne is still your women's NXT champion. And I'm interested to see who's next.
Yeah, and it was like mostly thanks to Jacy Jayne's faction members that were outside, who I can't remember their names, but they are the Fatal Influence, right? Is the name of their
Yeah.
group. It looked like Zaria was about to win this thing. No. Yeah, Zaria was about to win this thing. And when Zaria was about to get the pin on Jacy Jayne, the two girls from Fatal Influence jumped in, they interfered, and basically Jacy Jayne was able to take advantage to get the very last second pin. Like, even Jacy Jayne's reaction was like, holy shit, I won? After all of that, I was still able to retain. So I really enjoyed the finish. But you were right, Tommy. Zaria and Ruca were really focused on each other a little bit too much. Because this is for the NXT Women's Championship, the biggest prize in the women's division on NXT. And it just felt to me like this NXT Championship was an afterthought. Like, I was kind of feeling like, what was the point of having the women's champion in this match at all? The biggest story in this match is the feud between Zaria and Ruca. I did not need to see a triple threat match here. I did not need to see the women's NXT championship here. I think this opening match would have been perfect if it was just Ruca versus Zaria in a one-on-one match so they can just beat the fuck out of each other. Did you feel like that, Tommy? Like the main champion in the women's division was kind of just like there and no one really cared about it, including the competitors?
I do get what you're coming from with that, but take into consideration here that Zaria's entire problem was that Sol was getting so many title opportunities and all of that. So Zaria was taking her own shot at it. Sol was also going after it. So at that point, a triple threat was the best option.
Okay, I see. I know I'm missing something. I know there's a reason why, obviously, that they made it a triple threat match, but I just didn't like how they made the women's NXT champion look here in this situation. Like, she wasn't the most important thing on this match when usually the champion defending their title should be the most important thing that's happening in the match. But that just wasn't the case here, unfortunately. But Jacy Jayne retained, so she got the win. So she did come out on top. The champion did. So that was good. I think the right person won. And this this feud that officially started a couple weeks ago continues between Ruca and Zaria. Tommy, anything else you want to add about this opening match? Any predictions moving forward with this feud before we move on to the next segment?
Not other than the fact that it was announced later on in the show that next week, Zaria and Sol will be talking in the ring. So we'll see where that goes, and I'm interested to see how far it actually goes.
Very, very well. All right, from the women's NXT champion to the men's NXT champion, the next segment was Ricky Saints, who was supposed to call out Joe Hendry, but first Ethan Page came out. And I was really interested to see what was going to happen here because last week, Ethan Page and Ricky Saints got the win in their tag team match in the main event, thanks to Ethan Page pinning Joe Hendry, who's the current men's NXT champion. Which means, you know, these two guys, Ricky Saints and Ethan Page, have been telling each other, hey, we want to become double champion. Ricky Saints, I want to become two-time NXT champion. Ethan Page wants to become two-time North American champion. And Ethan Page goes, no. I do want to become two-time champion, but I want to become two-time champion NXT champion, not North American champion, Ricky. Ricky, who seemed, he didn't seem too happy about this announcement, but this is excellent, man. This makes perfect sense. I want to see, you know, Ethan Page get a crack at the NXT championship again. And Joe Hendry comes out and he tries to drive a little wedge between Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. Well, why don't you two figure that out? You two, you guys have wrestled each other before. Do it again. But that doesn't seem to work, at least not yet. Ricky Saints and Ethan Page go after Joe Hendry. And then Tony D'Angelo out of nowhere, after Joe Hendry takes out Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, Tony D'Angelo takes out Joe Hendry. So we got four of the top guys on the men's NXT main title picture, all mixed up together in one big, lovely segment. for this episode of NXT.
Here we go. Here we go. Tony D'Angelo, you have officially told us, as of now, what your secondary plan is, what part 2 is, and that's going after the NXT title. So I find what Ethan Page said interesting as well, because he has not been NXT champion since Rainbow title was a thing. So I would actually like to see another NXT title reign from him. But at the same time, I'm going back and forth because as much as I would love to see him have another title reign, I still want to see him on the main roster even more. So there's that problem. But I do feel like this whole thing with Joe Hendry, it's going to push him even more. It's going to push Joe Hendry even more. Ricky Saints is just going to be there. But still. And it was announced in the exact same segment as Sol Ruca's with Zaria that good old Ethan Page has a match next week with Tony D'Angelo.
That's Ricky Saints, isn't it?
I thought it was Ethan Page. It's one of the two of them.
I'm pretty sure it's Ricky.
Okay. It's either Ricky or Ethan Page. Either way, one of them screwed up because they're going up against Tony D'Angelo.
See, check this out. Check out what Toxic on the comments has to say about this. Toxic says he wants to see a fatal 4-way between Hendry, Page, Tony D'Angelo, and Ricky Saints.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that, but the problem is I know damn well you would.
I mean, talking about putting fucking all of the freaking food on all the meat in the grill at one time, you know, like just all 4 of them in one big match. I don't know how I feel about that.
But you want to talk about big meaty men slapping meats? There's 4 of them right there. Put them in the ring.
Ah, man. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm liking this a whole lot, so I don't want to see it all just be thrown together in one big match. I want to see it be like extended. Like they're starting off with Joe Hendry wants Tony D'Angelo in a match, but Stone, the general manager, was like, nah, I can't do that because Ricky Saints already got Tony D'Angelo next week, right? So maybe the week after that, we can get Joe Hendry versus Tony D'Angelo. And there's like all the different mixtures of matches that can happen here. They're all good. All the combinations. We got potentially Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints at one point. You know, Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page. Joe Hendry versus, you know, everything for them to just be like, oh, let's just do it all at one time. Nah, I want to see this thing last a little bit more. You know, I'm interested, man. This is great.
I do want a fatal 4-way out of this, but not until later on. Let it build up a little bit more before that fatal 4-way happens. Yeah. But still have the fatal 4-way, just have it a whole lot later than now.
And I'm also really enjoying this back and forth banter that Ethan Page and Ricky Saints have, man. They have really good chemistry. You know, the way that they interact with one another. It's really fucking entertaining too, I gotta say.
Yeah, let the cracks with that form even more, even before that fatal 4-way. Just to make it a little bit more interesting.
Absolutely. So we got Ricky Saints versus Tony D'Angelo next week. That's going to be a huge match, dude. That's going to be huge. Who do you think is going to win that one?
I think Tony D'Angelo. Just because it's Tony D'Angelo at that point. Ricky Saints can easily take a loss from Tony D'Angelo and still keep on cooking.
Yeah, Tony D'Angelo's on fire right now too, man. Like he's only had a few matches since he's been back, but he's won all of them. I want to say like 2 or 3 of them. Big matches. And on his way to these matches, he's been destroying people left and right. So I'm really liking what they're doing with Tony D'Angelo too. But yeah, I definitely see Tony D'Angelo winning next week versus Ricky Saints. Unless Ethan Page has something to say about that. You know, we could also see a tag team match from this whole situation. We can team up Tony D'Angelo and Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page versus Ricky Sainz. At first, I thought that's where this was going, but then Tony D'Angelo attacked Joe Hendry, so I don't know if that's going to happen.
I was about to say, he attacked Joe Hendry first. Like, Joe Hendry was the first man he went after, and then went after Ethan Page and Ricky Sainz. So I don't think that's where that's going.
I mean, it hasn't been the first time where two people that don't like each other were forced to team up. You know? But either way, man, whatever happens here, I'm interested in this thing that they're doing with the NXT, the main NXT championship belt. All right, Tommy, let's move on. We had a 6-man tag team match, the greatest tag team of all time. Los Americanos with their great leader, El Grande Americano, the real El Grande Americano.
Ludwig Kaiser.
No. And get this, they were the baby faces in this whole situation. Not only because the Vanity Project are just so fucking easy to hate and annoying as fuck, but they're in Houston. You know, mostly Hispanic people in Houston, Mexican people in Houston. So automatically, El Grande Americano is over here. I mean, they were chanting in Spanish throughout this whole entire match. Even the 10 punches in the corner, the crowd was counting them in Spanish. You know, this was lovely, dude. Oh my God. At first, I'm like, I do not want to see this. Any match that involves with the Vanity Project, I fucking hate it. But this 6-man tag match was so good. It was so entertaining that I actually cared for this match. I was actually invested and interested in this because of how over Los Americanos were on this episode of NXT. And I got to give props to the Vanity Project, man. They actually did a really good fucking job in this 6-man tag team match as the heel team, as the cheating team. And in order for the people to care for the babyface, and if they want to see the babyface win, they need to have a good heel tag team to complement them. And they did, man. I thought this 6-man tag match was fucking lovely. What'd you think?
Why is it that the one Vanity Project match I like involves Los Americanos? This is the only match out of the Vanity Project that I've actually liked. And it's because of the fact that Los Americanos carry it for me. Because Vanity Project is Vanity Project. I still despise their ass. But Los Americanos, even with them being on the main roster and in AAA, commentary said it best. They are carrying everything else. Because they're doing their stuff on the main roster. They're doing their stuff in AAA. And they've got NXT as well. So they are busy as all hell on a weekly basis. So it makes sense that they're this good in this type of match.
That's fucking insane. That's true, man. El Grande Americano is all over the fucking place, dog. It's crazy. Yeah, the Los Americanos won, which also got me thinking, are we going to see Los Americanos more on NXT in that tag team division? Because they got the win over the tag team champions on this episode of NXT, but then again, I don't know, because Los Americanos are not in that tag team tournament. But then I'm like, why else have them on this show in Houston? Is it just because they were in Houston? They thought, oh, well, there's a lot of Mexican people there. Let's bring down El Grande Americano and Los Americanos. I don't remember. I don't understand the reason behind this, but I'm not complaining. I'm glad they were on NXT, but I'm just like, why? You know?
You forget something. That Evolve tag team, unless one of them can find themselves a partner, there's one spot open in that tournament.
Okay.
Because one of them got hurt last week.
Oh, that's right. There was a segment on this episode of NXT about that too, right? Where they're like, "Oh, you got to forfeit or you got to find another partner." But I got that impression that whoever that was, I don't remember who it was, they're going to find another partner, I feel like, right?
Most likely, but if they don't, there's Los Americanos spot right there.
Toxic has another good question. Man, I wonder when Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are going to return to the ring. That's a good question. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think
When
Pete
they
Dunne
get
is just.
unmasked, that's when.
I
When they
think
get
Pete.
unmasked.
I think Pete Dunne is just producing matches, and Tyler Bates is living his best life, being injured or something. I think.
They are Rio and Bravo. You cannot prove me wrong, good sir.
Last time I heard, Tyler Bates was still injured. Unfortunately, I hate to say that. So, speedy recovery for Tyler Bates. We miss you, buddy. Wish you come back soon to WWE TV. All right, that was a fun 6-man tag team match. Yeah, dude. So far, we've had 2 matches. An angle here. It's so far so good, right, on NXT. And then at the top of the hour, we have the Booker T appreciation segment, right? Where Booker T is out there, his family's out there, Queen Charmel is out there, Booker T's kids are out there, his students from Booker T's wrestling school is out there. You know, they play this wonderful, wonderful video package of, everything that Booker T's greatest moments back in the 90s and WCW and, his championships that he's won. It was a lovely moment, man. Booker T got emotional. He started shedding some tears. And it got me, dude. Even I started feeling a little emo at some point. I'm like, man, this is fucking dope, man. Like, dude he's living his best life, man. He's had a successful career, beautiful family. He's got his friends there that support him. It was a great moment. But god damn it, I love Booker T so much because no matter what, man, Booker T is always thinking of the future. He's always thinking of wrestling. He's always thinking of how can we make something out of this for the fans, right? Keanu Carver's music hits, and I'm like, no fucking way, bro. This is fucking perfect. What the fuck is Keanu? I keep calling him Keanu Reeves. Keanu Carver. What is his beef with Booker T? Why does he hate Booker T so much? That hasn't been explained yet. He's always picking on Booker T, man. Keanu Carver is, man. And on Booker T's great moment, Booker T appreciation night, Keanu Carver comes out. He beats up all of his students. He's telling Booker T to shut up. He's shoving the referees. He ruined the great moment for Booker T. But then here comes Jasper Troy for the save. Former Speed champion, big motherfucker. And he fights off the big, bad, evil bully Keanu Carver. Man, this was lovely. This was... Talk about creating stars, creating moments. I've never heard the crowd cheer for Jasper Troy this loud ever in my life, man. This was fucking awesome.
Hey, look at that. The crowd actually does care about Carver. Because normally, they don't at all. But when you put him up against Keanu, somebody everybody hates, suddenly the crowd starts caring about you. But, of course, Booker T is Booker T. Even when something is supposed to be about him, his response is, no. How can we do something big for the fans instead of making it all about me? How can we contribute them into all of this? It's how him and John Cena both think, and that is like the perfect way to think on that. And this right here is perfect. It really is. And it's going to be very interesting to see what match we get out of these two. when they inevitably have a match.
Yeah, and one of the things too, because I posted this clip on our social media and I posted my reaction to all this, I got a lot of views. And a lot of people on the comments were asking one thing. Who the fuck is this guy? Talking about Keanu Carver. So they're creating a lot of buzz. They're creating a lot of interest in Keanu Carver with doing stuff like this. Because people are wondering, who is he? Why is he mad at Booker T? Why is he interrupting this big moment? You know, people are asking questions. And I mean, yeah, you talk about Booker T, you know, he's thinking about the fans, but he's also thinking about Keanu Carver and Jasper Troy and building up this match between these two guys that when we get it, it's gonna be dope, man. There's gonna be a lot of fanfare for this match, at least for the NXT audience. So this was absolutely amazing the way that they did this, I thought. But yeah, they have a match coming up, Keanu Carver versus Jasper Troy. I'm not sure when though. I'm not sure when it's gonna happen, but it is gonna happen. Yeah, man. I can't get over how good the segment was because like Booker T was literally feeling emotion. You know, he was crying at one point, you know, and it was a great moment. And I bought into it. I believed it, man. I was like, man, this is so cool. I was genuinely happy for him, for Booker T. And then Keanu Carver comes out and it's like, oh my God, how can this get any worse, you know, but in a good way. But yeah, man, that was dope. Anything that we missed about this segment, Tommy, that we need to cover before we move on?
I do love the fact that we did get like a video package and everything else. And one of the biggest things that was highlighted was his time as King Booker. So, and they still call Sharmell Queen Sharmell, even though neither of them are in the ring anymore, which I absolutely love the fact that they still call her that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool to see Queen Sharmell on WWE TV once again, man. All right. Then we had a women's speed championship where we crowned a new women's speed champion. Something, what's her name won it?
Wren Sinclair.
Wren Sinclair. Tommy, any thoughts about this women's speed championship title match?
I am not surprised whatsoever. By the end of it, I'm like, okay, are they going to pull the trigger on Wren Sinclair? They did exactly that, and I am so happy for that. So we'll see who her next opponent is and how that goes.
All right. Then we had a tag team match. This is the tag team tournament to determine the number one contender of who's going to face the Vanity Project for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Hank and Tank versus our good friends from the Birthright. Now, I got to be honest with you. The two members of the Birthright that were competing in this match are my least two favorite of all four, which is Stax. By the way, I still don't understand Stax' relationship or, you know, how does he fit in this group? Is he a second generation superstar also? Or is it just because he's dating the daughter of Santino Marella?
It might be the latter.
What?
It might be the latter. That's my guess.
Okay. And I believe the other guy's name is something Connors, which I think he's the son of Finley. Also brother of Fit Finley from AEW. But yeah, both of these guys are just whatever to me, honestly. I like this. I like this faction. I like the idea of it. But I like Lexis King and I like the other guy, Dempsey, which is the son of William Regal. Are they going to be in this tag team tournament? Do we know? Or is it just going to be those two guys from the Birthright?
It's those two from Birthright.
All right. Well, they wrestled Hank and Tank, and the Birthright won with the little help of Lexis King. I mean, I didn't really care too much about this tag team match. It's another tournament. But what did you think, Tommy?
I was a little bit shocked that they didn't go with Hank and Tank here, but instead decided to go with Birthright. But the more I thought about it throughout the day, the more I realized that Birthright was, in fact, the right choice here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. It puts more on them. Do I think they're winning the titles? No, I do not. But I still think they'll go pretty far.
Yeah, again, if it was Lexis King and Dempsey, I would say put the tag team titles on those guys. But no. I mean, but then again, honestly, anyone is better than the Vanity Project, if I'm being honest. I also do agree that the right team won here because these guys, they're just getting started as a faction. You know, they're trying to, the whole point of this faction is to, hey, we're not getting what we deserve. Let's join forces to show people what we can actually do. So I think it made more sense for the Birthright to go over here in this match. Even though Hank and Tank are a fan favorite, I don't think they really need it. Hank and Tank are over no matter what, you know? All right, Tommy, you ready for the big main event steel cage match between Tatum Paxley and Izzi Jayne?
Let's do it.
For the Women's North American Championship, man, these two women have been feuding what feels like forever. And I think the announcers also said it's time to end this. This is the big blow-off match, finally. The end of the feud is going to be determined in a big steel cage match, right? And they jumpstart this thing. Izzi Jayne attacks Tatum Paxley outside of the cage before the match even starts. Izzi Jayne throws Tatum Paxley in the ring and grabs a steel chair. So now there's a steel chair inside of the steel cage. I thought that was a little pointless at first, but I mean, this happens a lot, especially like nowadays in steel cage matches. I mean, I don't think it's really necessary to do that. The cage itself is already a weapon. You know, I don't see the point in adding a steel chair in there as well, but even Booker T said it, oh, anything goes, is no DQ, so why not? Okay, fine, whatever. The steel chair didn't really play that much, wasn't really a big part of the match at the end of everything. But I gotta say, man, I really enjoyed this steel cage match, dude. I gained a different level of respect for both Izzi Jayne and Tatum Paxley because the way that they build up to the big spots when they jumped on top of the cage, you know, they fought on the top of the cage. They hit a big super plex from the top of the cage. They had some great moments, man, and they used the steel cage as a weapon. I did not think I was going to like this match as much as I did, or at all, to be honest, because I mean, yeah, I didn't think I would, but I did, man. They got me. They had one hell of a main event, one hell of a steel cage match, bro. And your girl, Tatum Paxley, retained. And she's still Women's North American Champion. What'd you think?
So happy about that. Especially with the fact that it was Izzi Jayne who screwed over Tatum Paxley out of the NXT title. So happy that she finally got her hands on Izzi Jayne at the end of it in a steel cage where she could not get away no matter how hard she tried. But what I found interesting was not in the match itself. It happened after the match. When Tatum Paxley was at the top of the ramp during the whole copyright logo stuff and all of that, a certain someone decides to pop up from the floor. Mm-hmm. It seems that Blake Monroe will be Tatum Paxley's next shot. So we'll see how that goes. Blake Monroe's been trying to go after that North American title for a little bit, ever since Thea Hill took it off of her. Mm-hmm. So I'm very interested to see where this goes with Blake Monroe and how Blake decides to try and get that North American title off of Tatum Paxley.
Shout out to Ryan Gray in the comments throwing the ones up in the air. Ryan Gray acknowledges his tribal chief. But yeah, I completely forgot about that because I thought that ending was kind of ridiculous because freaking Blake Monroe came from the bottom of the stage like the Undertaker and like pulled Tatum Paxley down underground, and there was like smoke coming out of the background, and I'm just like, that didn't really fit for Blake Monroe's character, I don't think, but hey, whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. I kind of took it as, well, Tatum Paxley just had a brutal steel cage match. It's really easy for Blake Monroe to drag Tatum Paxley down to hell or whatever, however you want to look at it. But yeah, looks like we got the next up-and-comer for Tatum Paxley's North American Championship, Blake Monroe. I think that should be pretty interesting because do you think Jada Parker is still going to be lurking around there in that title scene?
Oh, most likely, especially with the fact that in the back, Thea Hill talked to Tatum Paxley, and then Kalani Jordan comes in talking shit to Thea Hill, and then Jada Parker comes in, starts talking shit about Kalani Jordan. So odds are those three are going to still be in that title picture as well.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that main event was pretty entertaining, dude. And also no culling. But then again, it was a steel cage match. That was kind of one of the reasons why they had the steel cage match too, right? Was because the culling was always getting involved in their matches between Izzi, Dame, and Tatum Paxley, right?
Yeah, and this was a way to keep the two of those out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So overall, great fucking night for NXT, bro. I gotta be honest, man. It was, those 2 hours fucking flew by for me this week. Hopefully they can keep that up next week, you know?
Hopefully. Let's see if they can even top this.
Yeah, we'll see for sure. We'll definitely be on the lookout for NXT next week. Tommy, anything else about this episode before we get up out of here?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone who hung out with us, who was on the comments. If you're new, thank you for joining. If you're new, leave a star rating, leave a review, and follow us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all that good stuff. We will see you next time. Tommy, take us home, please.
All right. That, ladies and gentlemen, was an episode of the Snug Wrestling Podcast, our NXT review. You can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Right after Monday Night Raw, you've got NXT here on Wednesdays. You've got Friday Night SmackDown. And then you've got that one-on-one on TikTok Live with Mr. Blood and our glorious leader, Snug himself. Also, go get your merch. That is at tpublic.com/snug_wrestling. That is TEE public.com/snug_wrestling. So, boys, that was one time for the one time. 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet.